Okay, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm just going to do a quick overview of what the straight line actually looked like that I took in those first two videos. I'm not going to be too long here, so I'll get right into it. You can see on the screen here, this pink line right here. That is the straight line that I was trying to stick to in that video. These red lines here, the outlines where the city of Novi starts and ends. I will zoom out a little bit here and just kind of show you. So obviously all the red lines are the boundaries of the city of Novi. I chose this line. Novi is the city that I grew up in. I haven't lived there in a while, but it's a city that I grew up in, so I know it fairly well. And so when I was trying to think of somewhere short that I could do a straight line mission, this was the first thing that came to mind. And interestingly, when I looked at the overhead view of Novi, I immediately identified this corridor right here, because when I was trying to do this initially, I don't know, in my head I wanted to stay away from super populated areas because that seemed like it was going to be a lot harder going through people's yards and stuff. I didn't want somebody to call the cops. I didn't want to get caught, all kinds of different stuff. And these areas down here, as you can see, I mean, tons and tons of housing developments. You know, you got the freeway that runs right through here. Obviously, there's down here, this is a kind of green area. But anyway, when I looked at the overhead, I immediately saw, oh, hey, there's a bunch of green right here. And there's this little bit here. And, kind of this little bit here that there is stuff that I'll have to contend with, and obviously this little bit here. But for the most part, I was like, okay, this might be doable. Now, in hindsight, I didn't really think about at the time that you saw in that video, both of those videos, is all of the swampland that's in here. And I mean, I'm in Michigan, so unfortunately we're a definitely, low area, and there's swampland everywhere, so you can't really get away from that. But yeah, so anyway, I was going for this green corridor. That was the first thing that I saw that made me think, okay, that's a good spot. And then the more I zoomed in, I realized, oh yeah, this is definitely doable. So like, obviously this is M5 right here. So this was a big obstacle that I was trying to, okay, that's why I went early in the morning. Obviously I knew I needed to get over that. Obviously, like I said in the video, this is shown as like a big open field, but it shows these little roads here, which gave me an inkling that there was something here, and I actually drove past this before I started the mission and realized there's giant apartment buildings, one that goes right across here. So that's why I chose to put the line right here. This right here was that first swamp. Actually, let me turn on the... Okay, so this is the actual path that I took from my GPS. So you can see this is me driving in or whatever, this is where it flew me in. So I parked there, walked over to here, and that's where I started the mission. But yeah, so there's giant apartment buildings here that were, a problem. But I stuck pretty close to the line here. And then this right here is that first swamp that we went into. Went through that little clump of trees, hit this swamp. As you can see, I didn't get super far into it. Like, it was totally dark. I couldn't see anything. I was sinking into the muck, and I just said, you know what? This is my first try. I don't want to die today. So you can see I kind of came out and went around. And this distance ended up being about 50. It was a little over 50 meters. So this actually put me into silver like right away, which kind of sucked. But I knew what I was doing at that point. So anyway, yeah, I came around, crossed the road, went through that little bit of woods. This is where that fence was that I had to get over. And then this was my route across M5. Really wasn't too bad, to be honest. And then right here, this was a big hill. So this is where I got really gassed. And then there's a second fence right here that I had to hop over. So this was that deviation that I didn't think was that big, but it ended up being kind of a big deviation. And this, how far did I actually deviate here? This was 41 meters. So, I mean, still in the gold zone for the most part. But, yeah, I definitely didn't think I went that far. But as you can see, there's a pond here. And this was super swampy, which I knew was going to be the case. But, yeah, it it became a way bigger problem. There's a bunch of downed trees and stuff, so I had to kind of go around a little bit. And then we came back on the line here. This was, you can see, well, you couldn't really see these in the video, but when I was talking about going through people's driveways and yards, yeah, I mean, I was trying to stay tight to this line. Then there was this was like kind of a garden area that I didn't really want to go through in this person's house, so I kind of deviated, went around there. Again, I don't know how far that was. How far was that? That was only 14 meters. So that wasn't bad. Yeah, I had to go around a little bit there. This swimming pool that it shows here was not there, so I went straight through there. And then, yeah, these are the areas where, I don't know, it started to get a little weird. I felt like I was following the line pretty well here, but I'm not really sure what caused me to go all the way out here. Yeah, this was, pretty straightforward. This is that driveway that I walked down, and then I crossed Meadowbrook Road. Right here is that gate that I hopped over. And then we were in the toll gate woods. And, I tried to, and again, I don't know what this was all about. I don't know why I'm deviating so much from the line here, because this actually was kind of far. I don't know if the GPS was having, yeah, because this is over 25 meters right here. So I don't know if the GPS was having issues. I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't doing a good job of following the line. But either way, through here wasn't too bad. And I was trying to find where I stopped at the end of the first video. I think it must have been right here somewhere, maybe, where the GPS obviously had a bunch more dots. But I feel like I would have stopped for longer than that. I'm not sure. Anyway, so after that first video, I think this is kind of where we get into the second video. And a lot of that swampy stuff that I went through, obviously you can see me deviating here to try to get through it. Yeah, and I think this is where I went into the water, came back and went around. Yeah, so then we're into the cemetery, stayed pretty tight to the line here. And you can see, again, this corridor that I found, there's stuff all around it, but there was just this one little spot. So we made it through here, and then this is that big deviation where we went around the pond. Again, from the overheads, I put this line here, and I was staring at this thinking, how far away is this? This is like... Yeah, this little spot, like 25 meters was like here. And so I thought to myself, okay, maybe if I go right here, this looks like there's some trees here. Maybe I'll be able to get across here. And that was a bad idea. It was stupid. I don't know why I thought that. Anyway, so obviously I deviated around there. Yeah, and then this is where we get into those apartment buildings. You can see my path weaving around the apartment buildings and back out. And this was this was my fault. I did not look at the GPS correctly here. What was this? This was, yeah, this was over 25 meters easily. Yeah, this was my fault. I remember this part, and I remember looking at the GPS, and for whatever reason, I didn't think in my brain that the line went right through this house, but it definitely did, and I definitely should have either come up right here or stayed tighter or something like that. I did so. I think I was trying to stay in tree cover, maybe. Either way, this is where things get a little bit weird, and this is where I'm not sure if I'm having the same issue that GeoWizard had when he... I'll have to watch his video again and see, but you can see from the video that the line that I took, I was in these yards. So I actually walked about right here. But the GPS shows me way out here. And I'm not sure what the reason for that is. But like I said, you can see in the video, I go right up the steps of one of these. I can't remember which one it was. But yeah, I definitely was much tighter to this line through here. Yeah, and then I do remember coming down here, yeah, this little deviation, and then this is those other single-family homes that I went through, did pretty well there. You can see this big swampy bit. I was able to avoid that for the most part. And then this is where the slog really begins. You can see these big deviations here of me trying to find ways through. You can see these spots where the GPS data stacks up because I'm forcing my way through these areas, crawling on my hands and knees, areas like this. Yeah, definitely this one. Yeah, so some big deviations here. How far are these? This is definitely outside of platinum, I'm pretty sure. This is right on the edge here, which means that some of these points are definitely going to be outside of the 25-meter zone. So I definitely need to do better on that on the next one. And here is and again, I knew this was a swamp here, and I was expecting swampiness, obviously starting here and probably a little bit back here. But I mean, it was really bad all the way back here. Even some of this. So by the time I got through all of that, I was super gassed, got to here, and again, it looks like there's a lot of trees here. So I thought there would be a little bit of firm ground here, maybe, but there wasn't. As you can see in the video, it's all terrible. So I'm deviating a ton. Honestly, at this point, I was not as worried about deviation because I knew I had, and I wasn't paying quite as close of attention to the GPS, if I'm honest. But you can see how these GPS dots, I mean, just look at this data, right? Like back here, where I'm moving more quickly, the dots are way more spaced out, and then in these spots where over here, it's like, holy crap, like all of a sudden there's a million dots because this took forever. Yeah, and then this is where I right here is where I basically made the decision that, okay, this is not, this is not going to happen. So I could see there were times when I could see the railroad tracks, and on the GPS I could see that it really wasn't that far. And so this was just me trying to say, okay, where is my shortest route? Where can I see it? And I'm trying to say, okay, it's right there. And I knew if I went this way, and now looking at the data, I went almost just as far, so whatever. But when you're in it, you're just like, okay, I can see a path. I'm just going to go that way. So I came all the way down here. This is where that end part where I'm yelling, oh, no, 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 because I sank a lot right here. And you can see all these dots. It took me a while just to get up on the land, and then I basically just collected myself there. And then here's that last part where, like I said, once I had collected myself, I had sort of already made the decision that I was done, but I didn't want to be done. I didn't want to give up. So I got up and I walked all the way down here and I looked out this way and I just saw all that swamp. And I mean, honestly, this would have been even worse to cross than this, because you can see all these trees are dead. This is terrible. And this right here is like a creek. There's actual water, open water here. So I saw that. I said, yeah, I don't think so. Walked all the way back, ended up stopping myself. And I said, am I really going to give up this close? Because, okay, so yeah, how close actually was I? I mean, there's the end of the line right there, right? So basically, if I make it to here, I'm pretty much home free. The only really obstacle after this was this sort of landscaping place. There's a fence right here, not a super tall one, it's just a chain link fence. I could have hopped over with no problem. This is just a big pile of dirt right down into here. And then this is just an industrial park. This would have been an easy walk. Boom, there I am, game over. So I really, really was fighting with myself saying, am I really going to give up right now? And I'm still kind of annoyed at myself that I did. But again, we were out of platinum. We were out of gold. So it doesn't really matter. I don't know. Yeah, so then I basically walked down. I mean, I still had a long way to go. That's what sucked. I mean, I'm gassed at this point. I ended up walking all the way down the railroad tracks to 12 Mile. And then you can see I walked up here to the Sunbelt Rentals where my buddy picked me up. Yeah, and that was the end of the trip there, man. So, like I said, I'm disappointed that didn't work out. But now you've at least seen the line. And I guess here I'll give you a little sneak preview maybe. Let me open up some of my... Yeah, so here's a little sneak preview of... Let me turn these off. So that pink line is the old line. That's the one that I went. And then this gold line... So the middle gold line is the new line that I plotted. The two other lines are basically the 25-meter. I try to put lines it's actually like, I think it's only like 24 and a half. I try to give myself leeway. Those are that's the platinum zone line. So you can see it's not super different from the original line, at least at the beginning. But I'm still gonna have to traverse the swamp, so that's an obstacle I'm just gonna have to push through. And now I know that there's really no way around it. I tried plotting lots of different lines, and this is just, if I'm gonna keep it in this corridor green space that I wanted to do, I just have to. So yeah, it's pretty similar there, pretty similar across M5. It's a little bit farther south, which is helpful in a lot of cases, actually. So I'm a little bit farther this way, and my deviation from previously took me kind of down in here. Let me turn that back on. Yeah, so here's my deviation from previously. So by moving it this way, this is still outside the platinum zone, but I think if I focus, I can definitely keep that. I can keep that in the platinum zone at that point. Yeah, and then we're down here. Again, this one was tough. I put these little waypoints here to tell me because these lines don't plot on the GPS when I put it out there for some reason. I've had a hard time figuring that out. But waypoints will, so I kind of put some waypoints to try to keep me within bounds better. Yeah, so again, this house is kind of tight. I'm going to have to, either stay really tight to the house here or really tight to the house here. So I'm going to have to kind of go through that garden area and try not to mess up their flowers and stuff. I will do my best. Yep, and then stays pretty similar down through here. I'm not going to be able to walk down that driveway like I did before. I'm going to have to, again, I'm going to have to get a lot closer to this house. This is that driveway I walked down. This is like a barn. I'm going to have to kind of shoot the gap between the two. And then there's a rock wall right here that I'm going to have to sort of drop down. And then this is an electric fence. Lovely. So obviously I'm not going to be hopping that. So I will probably just go to this gate like I did the last time. Because that's still within the 25 meters. Probably hop that and come back this way and follow this fence line. Because like I said, this is an electric fence. Yeah, and then we're back through here. And again, staying to the south, it seems like the swampier, wetter areas are kind of over here. So I think this will save me from a lot of those things you saw in the first video and in the first part of the second video that I was going through. It should save me from a lot of that. And then here, again, we're back in the cemetery, following that through. Now, here's where things get a little sketchy. So, obviously, you can see this big lake. So, the 25-meter mark is right there. So, my plan is to basically come down here and do my best to stay, not go over this 25-meter mark and just try to cross this at its narrowest point that I can. Get across to the other side, keep going. Hopefully, we'll be all right. And then here's that big deviation that I had. So, again, this line makes it such that I can just walk around this boardwalk and kind of take the same line that I did and just get to here and keep going this way. Now, here's another little sketchy area. There's this big pond here. I am not 100% sure what this is. So this could be swamp. This could be a pond. I'm really not sure. But either way, I think I can get close to this house and go this way or maybe come around this way. And again, now we're into those apartment buildings. And so we're going to go through a lot more apartment buildings and houses here. So this one was almost a deal breaker because as you can see, it's literally like almost completely the width of the platinum zone. So basically, I'm going to have to get really close to the edge and hug this building as close as possible. Get through here, cross here, and then I'm going to have to, I can't go this way because I'll go outside the platinum zone, so I'm going to have to come around to the north side. And then right here, yep, we're into houses and whatnot, so, I have to go on one side of here, have to go on one side of here, have to go through here. Luckily, there's a little bit of a gate right here, so I won't have to hop this fence this time like I did the last time. But then we're right into it here. Again, more houses. So I'm probably going to have to deviate to the south here. And then there is a big swampy area here. I think I'll be able to just skirt the edge of this and come back in. That's what I'm planning to do and hoping to do. And you can see where my other line was again up here. Now the lines have now separated quite a bit more. So this is where, you know, here was the end of me going through houses before, so I've got about double the amount. Well, maybe not double, but another 25% at least through here that I'm going to have to, yeah, I'm basically going to do the same thing I did up here, which is stay right tight to these backyards and go through. And then here's where we get into the really important point. So by moving this line south like this, obviously, you can see I'm still going to have to go through this swamp. There really just, for me, is no way around it because I'm trying to avoid, well, and down here, I mean, there's these huge buildings. You know, these are deal breakers in a lot of times because they're wider than 25 meters. And then there's like actual ponds I'm trying to avoid because those are just, you know, I would need to bring a raft or something, which I suppose is an option, but either way, I don't have a plan for that at this point. So, and then going through like the heart of this just becomes a nightmare because there's all kinds of things that can end it, you know, if a building's too wide, all that kind of stuff. And then I just, like I said, I just really don't want to get caught in someone's yard. So basically, yeah, I'm hoping that by moving this south, a lot of the swampy bits that I was in up here won't be as bad. Now, obviously, there is definitely, I think this is that river that I crossed. So that I'll still have to contend with, but I'm hoping it won't be as bad, is my point. And then you can see that I don't have to cross nearly as much of it, right? Like, I mean, you know, what's the distance here? Distance here is 400 meters, basically. Whereas the distance here is only going to be 250, you know, so it's 150 meters less, basically, that I'll have to cross, which is always good. And then on the next part of the line, again, this was awful swamp. I'm hoping that some of these areas will be a little bit easier to traverse. And maybe if I can hug this edge a little bit, you know, can't go too far this way, but if I can hug this edge a little bit, maybe it'll be easier for me to cross. And then over here, I don't know if there's a fence here or not. Honestly, I can't remember. But again, this shouldn't be too bad. I don't really know what's right here. There might be a fence or something. But yeah, then we're over that, and then I basically just have to hug the edge of these buildings as I come around. And then right there is the edge of Novi. Here, let me pull that back up. Yeah, so right there is the edge of Novi. So once I'm there, I'm home free. So yeah, that's my plan for the next video. I haven't done it yet, obviously, but I mean, I'm basically just trying to find a day with decent weather to go out and do it at this point. So hopefully you'll see that video coming soon after this. The next video I'm going to do, actually before that, probably is going to be sort of go through some of the gear I'm using and whatnot, because I'm definitely making some changes from the last straight line that I did, and I just thought it might be interesting to show you some of that. So if you want to see that, if you don't want to see that, let me know down in the comments. If you like this content, hit the subscribe button, hit like, you know, all that kind of good stuff. And yeah, let me know any ideas you have for future adventures or anything like that. I might do some stealth camps. I might do a bunch of stuff. Anyway, everybody have a great day, and we will see you on the next one.